Hi there, Magical Mr. C, packing small and playing big. Yeah, I have a magic show today. It's a standard magic show, but it's in a very minimalized area. And it got me thinking about packing small and playing big. What does that really mean? Well, typically, I have a big act that I pack in a very small vehicle. Now, that may not mean what you would think packing small and playing big means, and I defer to that, but that's kind of what it means to me. I have the flexibility to be able to play a pretty big act in a very minimalized space. That's kind of what packing small, playing big means, is that you're not sacrificing your entertainment value for the sake of your own personal convenience. What you are is you are adapting to a very minimal performing area. That's what it really means. Where it came from was from the vaudeville area, and that era had live variety entertainment, and it was very mainstream. It's not so mainstream nowadays, but vaudeville actually was a theatrical family variety experience that preceded movies and radio and television and the internet. And for a performer to be successful in vaudeville, they had to be good, and they had to perform according to how their contract stated. For example, if you were a magician that required a bunch of boxes and all sorts of different paraphernalia and assistants, then you were contracted as such and to perform this particular type of act. You couldn't just simply on a wild hair change your act and minimalize it. You couldn't do that. You couldn't, for example, if you had an animal act and you had a bear and a seal, well, you couldn't, while you were contracted to perform with a bear and a seal, you couldn't perform with just one bear and no seal. You had to perform with a bear and a seal, and the seal had to be with the bear. It's exactly how it was contracted. You couldn't cut corners. You couldn't cheat your audience, as it were. Cheating your audience meant that you didn't work anymore. So the audience was first in all the calculations, which meant that your manager, your agents didn't care about your health. They didn't care about your family events. They didn't care about a death in the family. They didn't care about if you were injured in any way. They didn't care about anything about you. They just wanted the act. They wanted the act to go on as scheduled, and they wanted you at peak performance, and they wanted you there, and they wanted you there yesterday. That's how that worked. That was the culture back then. So you had to be good. And the stressor wasn't, oh, I just don't feel it today. Oh, I guess I'll pack small and play big. Oh, they won't know the difference because they came to see moi after all. No, that's not how that worked. Now you take somebody like Houdini. If you think of vaudeville, Houdini was the poster child of vaudeville, and he packed big and played huge because he made the salary that afforded him to do that. Now, if you were like your typical vaudeville magician at the time, you paid, you were taxed in your salary, you were taxed differently. I mean, you think that the federal government and state government and the local municipalities tax you heavy now. If you were a vaudeville entertainer, oh boy, you were really taxed, because you were taxed by the theater, you were taxed by your agencies. Oh yeah, you were taxed everywhere. Everybody had to get a piece of the pie, and your salary was that pie. So check it out. A magician typically made more money, more salary money, than a comedian or a singer. But a singer and a comedian had way more take-home pay than a magician. It doesn't really seem fair, but if you go behind the scenes a little bit, you'll understand why. Houdini, as I said, was the poster child of the vaudeville era. He was paid a large salary. Why? Because he can draw the crowds. People knew who he was. They saw him do a stunt. just before showtime, and they loaded up into the theater. They paid good money to see Houdini, standing room only, and they still paid. People paid to go into that building, even though they didn't have seating, to stand there and watch Houdini perform. And so many magicians over the years have poo-pooed Houdini, saying, oh, he wasn't any good, he was boring, blah, 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 blah. Look, Houdini was able to convince an audience to stand there and pay to watch him. You tell me he was boring, you tell me he was bad, I don't buy it. Nope. That said, he had a lot of equipment. He had crates, he had milk cans, he had the water torture cell. All of these things that required porters to haul that stuff off the train to the laborers that would take that stuff onto a wagon, bring it over to the theater where the stagehands would unload that and put it on the stage ready for Houdini to perform. That cost a lot of money, yep. And Houdini had to pay it out of his salary, but his salary was big. So he still made money out of this. So everybody was happy. But if you're a typical magician, yeah, you didn't make as much money. So you had to be either good or you had to plan ahead and convince whoever was booking you, whether it be Martin Beck or somebody else, whoever was booking you in that theater, that your act, as minimal as it was, had the same exact entertainment value as somebody with a big act. And who succeeded in that? Well, two examples. One was Nate Leipzig. Nate Leipzig was a card technician, and he was fabulous. He can do card tricks coming out your ears. But his specialty was card flourishes. And vaudeville houses, people couldn't see cards. I mean, there's hundreds of people there, and you have this simple deck of cards, and you're saying, hey, pick a card. Or I've made a prediction. Was this your card? No, that didn't work. So instead, he did flourishes. He made cards appear, disappear, fans, all sorts of different beautiful patterns and whatnot. Boom. He had a sheet of music, handed it to the pianist, plunk out a tune, and he would do these card manipulations. Minimal overhead. He made money at it. Jay Marshall, an even better example. He was at the tail end of vaudeville, and he was a huge success with one prop, and that was a hand puppet that he kept in his left breast pocket that he put on his left hand that he called Lefty. And he was such a sensation that he was asked on the Ed Sullivan Show television multiple times. People knew him, people in the general public knew who he was. He was famous. Not only was he famous amongst magicians, but he was famous amongst the general public. He made it big in vaudeville, and he made it big following vaudeville as well. So vaudeville, when it died out, a lot of entertainment acts died out with it because they adapted only to the vaudeville culture. They didn't adapt to the emerging media that was on the horizon, such as movies and radio and eventually television and, of course, the internet. Vaudeville entertainment was long gone when the internet emerged. That being said, packing small, playing big, though, meant for these performers to pack efficiently while not sacrificing entertainment value. What that looked like is that they found ways in which they could compartmentalize their act to where they can practically just carry it in themselves with minimal aid from porters and laborers and stagehands. They just do it themselves. If you can get that kind of efficiency and still entertain your audience to where they're staying in their seats, they still like your act enough to stay in their seats waiting for the next act to come, then you've got a real winner. Nate Leipzig succeeded in this, so did Jay Marshall. Yes, but not everybody succeeded in this. So you had to really be strategic in this. You had to really sell it. So, what does packing small, playing big mean nowadays? It means virtually the same thing. In my case today, I have to play kind of a big show in a very minimal area. Jeff McBride calls it the Commando Act, and if you haven't seen his video from L&L Publishing, it's a classic. I can call it a classic because it's decades old, but it still has just as relevant of information and teaching as it did back when it was first published. The Commando Act is a really, really good teaching that Jeff McBride does about packing small and playing big. It's not packing flat, playing flat. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. So say, for example, you're a magician that performs infrequently. Maybe you get a show here and there throughout the year, maybe a show every 3 months or something. And you're getting a really nice, maybe a Cub Scout event, okay? Let's paint that picture. You're getting a Cub Scout event, and the Cub Scout master had seen you perform at some sort of banquet where you did a chair levitation, and they said, man, I want to see that. So they hire you, and you go through with the agreement, the payment arrangement, and so forth. And then about maybe 3 hours before showtime, you're going, I don't want to lug that thing in there. Oh, there's so much work. Oh, I don't want to do that. I'm just really not feeling. I have a headache. I had a really bad night's sleep last night. Oh, and my son called me and wanted me to give him money. And my wife, she got mad at me because I didn't take out the trash. I'm just not feeling it today, people. I'm just not feeling it. So I'll just pack small, play big. And typically what that means is that you take everything in a briefcase. You open up your briefcase and you go, I've made a prediction. You can see where the act is going at this point. Yep, it's going downhill fast. Now, not to take anything away from people that do mentalism, I don't want to minimize mentalists. Although mentalism is not my strength. It's not my interest. I have seen a lot of good mentalists, but I've seen more bad ones because of this attitude of packing small, playing big. They pack flat and they play flat. They say, well, I'm going to do this mentalist act and I'm just going to wing it. In terms of my scripting, I'm going to wing it. I'll just play them along and everything, and then, boy, the payoff is going to be huge when they find out that I was right. Yeah, well, if you're going to pack small and play big, you have to have the attitude and the mentality of one that wants to perform maximum entertainment value while being flexible enough to perform in a minimal space. Because most magic shows are performed in very minimal spaces. Most clients will say, okay, here's our magician, go ahead. And you just arrived. You haven't even unpacked yet. You've just arrived. They say, okay, right there. Okay, everybody, let's see him. Go ahead. You haven't even unpacked yet. And they're wanting you to perform immediately. Look, I gotta set up here. I gotta do my stuff here. I gotta do it, man. Yeah, you gotta have the flexibility to be able to perform in a tight spot, in a very minimal spot, and have a maximum entertainment value. Yes, and I'm gonna be doing that in actually just a few minutes. I'll let you know how it turns out if I do well. If I don't, you'll never see it. Anyway, Magical Mr. C, We'll touch on this subject at another time. I gotta get going. Take care. Bye-bye.